Hello everyone, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee and welcome to this video. Thank you for joining me today. This is the card I have to share with you. It's this little children's card and it has this wizard here playing with his magic castle, and it's a mixture of die cuts and coloured in images, and I just love it. It's just such a fun card, and the image here is a little wizard, and I dreamt that he was on his stool waving his magic wand in the castle at the hope that it will become real. Well, that's a story I told myself. Now this little wizard is actually cut out of the matching designer series paper, and this is it here. You can see it's called Kiddin Around, and you can see here I cut out the little wizard, and I'm just showing you the papers here. They're absolutely glorious, and some of the dies in the matching set do cut out some of these images here, but even so they're not difficult to fussy cut out, and you could have so many embellishments just from this one pack of paper. So for my first card I did cut out the little wizard just straight out of the pattern paper, but for this time I'm actually going to stamp him and colour him in using the Stampin' Blend alcohol markers. So you will see the card done both ways, either using the stamp set or just using the paper. And this is the stamp set here, Kidding Around, and we're going to stamp this little wizard here, but there's some other lovely images here as well that you could use, as well as these great sentiments. So I'm going to be stamping using Memento Tuxedo Black, so that I can colour in using the Stampin' Blend alcohol markers. So I'm just going to ink up our little wizard here and stamp him down, hold, lovely jubbly, set that aside, and then I am also going to find my scrap piece of basic white cardstock, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment here, and I'm stamping this in Azure Afternoon, and it just says it's your birthday, and I love the happy font for the stamp set. It's just a nice happy, well, it looks like a happy font to me anyway. Okay, so we're going to colour in our little wizard here, and as I said, we're going to use the Stampin' Blend alcohol markers. They're one of my firm favourites to colour in with, and you can see the colours I'm using. I'm showing you them here. And you've got Azure Afternoon, Copper Clay, Fresh Freesia, some Daffodil Delight, some Pumpkin Pie, and some of the other like ivory skin tone colours that I've got there as well. So we're just going to start to colour in here, and I tend to go in, if possible, with my darker colour first and then the lighter, but sometimes I do it the other way around, as you can see here. And I'm just putting in my light colour down, and I'm just going round. I tend to use the fine point more often than the brush nib. I just find I have better control with it. That's just me, but it's really up to you the way you want to do something. So now I'm just going in with the darker colour, as you can see here, and adding my little bits of shading around the little spots and around his feet and wherever I think there would be some shadow, like underneath his chin and such like. And then I'm just going to go back in with my lighter colour and blend all of that out as best as I can. And I'm really happy with the way the colouring turned out for this little wizard here. As you can see, I tend to sometimes go backwards and forwards between light and dark, though do be careful when you're doing that you don't oversaturate your cardstock. If you think it's getting a bit saturated, then just leave it, let it dry, and then come back to it and do whatever you want to fix it. And you can see here I've gone in with the darker colour, and then I'm going to blend out here with the lighter colour, and this is just the Fresh Freesia I'm using for his hat. I matched the colours as best I could to the colouring that was done in the designer series paper, so I sort of followed that as my palette and as my guide as to how I'm going to colour in my little wizard here. And I love him. If you're into Harry Potter or such like, your kids like magic, this is really a darling little set for them. And now I'm just adding some of the skin tones for his face here I am starting with the lighter and then just going a little bit with the darker. And I just added some yellow for his polka dots, for his little robes. And there's some copper clay for his hair. And then I've just used a little bit actually of Poppy Parade for his mouth. And then I've cut him out using the matching dies that you can see here. And I also used a lot of these dies to cut out the pieces for a card. You can see I did this beforehand, so I have all of my pieces already cut out. You can see the castle is cut out here out of basic grey cardstock. And I'm going to take my blending brushes and I'm going to just use the small one here just to add some extra detail to my castle. You can't see it so well on the camera, but it does actually emboss the bricks and such like in your castle pieces and the turrets here, and just adding a bit of shading helps to bring all of that texture out and show it, and it just deepens everything and makes everything a little bit more realistic and look a little bit less flat, I should say. So here's my card base. My card base is Azure Afternoon. It's a standard A6 card base. That's an A4 sheet cut in half and then folded in half. And then I'm going to put a piece of designer series paper down here, and this is the Countryside Inn, and this measures 14.35 centimeters by 10. And I've got a piece of white cardstock with the same measurement that I've put on the inside. And I should say, if you want any measurements, supply list, etc., it's all on the blog post on my website, and you'll find the links to that in the description box below. So now I'm just making my little banner, and I cut this out of 3 different types of cardstock. I cut it out of Poppy Parade, Azure Afternoon, and Daffodil Delight. And now I'm just cutting apart a little pennant from each of those so that I can have a multicoloured banner here on top of my basic grey base. And I'm just going to use a dot here of Tombow, and then I'm just going to pick this up using my take your pick tool here, and just the wet glue gives you a little bit of wriggle room to get things as lined up as at all possible. And this pennant was fighting me, but there you go. Oh, it doesn't want to stay there. There we are. Set that aside to dry, and let's work on something else. Here is the double oval punch, and I'm just going to use that to punch out my sentiment. So I'm just making sure that it'll fit in the punch. Sorry, it's a little bit out of shot. And then I'm going to take a piece here of Poppy Parade, and I'm just going to use that for my backing, and we're just going to stick one to the other, and there's our sentiment all done and dusted. So now I'm going to build my castle, and I'm going to use some dimensionals for this. So I'm going to put those down. I'm just putting them on the turrets, not on the arch. I just couldn't think of my words just then. So that's going to sort of look as if it's set back a little bit with the turrets at the front. Take those backings off. Lovely. Okay. So the sentiment's also going to be popped up, and I'm going to put this down now so I have space for it. Otherwise I'm liable to cover up my card and have no space for my sentiment, which will not be a good thing. And now I'm going to add my little flag. I did try to use my tweezers, but in the end, fingers are a girl's best friend. Or a crafter's best friend, I should say. And then I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow here on my stool. And then I am going to pop up our little wizard here using some dimensionals. As usual, I'm generous with my demo dimensionals, so please don't get angry with me. I don't want this thing flopping in any way when it goes through the post. I've seen the way the post is handled, and if it's going to go through the rollers of the machine, I don't want it to get squashed if I can help it. So I'm going to put our little wizard up there, and I really love the way he came out. Really, really happy with the colouring. Okay, now we're going to put down our little banner. Going to put that in the corner of our card. Perfect. Isn't that cute? And now we're going to use some of these other pieces here, and these pieces are just some extra pieces in the die set. So I've got some stars, and then I've got some pieces here that just look like building blocks. So we're just going to scatter those about, and to my mind they're the leftover from his playing. He was building he'd pulled out all his blocks and he'd been looking for what he needed to build his castle, and then these are all the leftover blocks that are just left scattered around the playroom floor. Well, that's the story I told myself when I made this card, to try and make it make a little bit of sense to me. So I'm just cutting these, sticking these down at odd angles as if he's just throwing them about the room. And I've kept to very much the primary colours for all of this. I've stuck to yellows, blues and reds. Yes, I've got grey, that's my neutral. And then the only other colour I've brought in is the little freesia colour for his Wizzard's hat. Otherwise I've really stuck to the primary colours, and they all go together really well, and they're bright and vibrant, which I think is perfect for a child's card. So you can see here I cut out quite a few of these, and I'm just deciding where I want to put these, and then I'm thinking that needs some on the side as well, just for balance in the card. So I'm putting the blue down there, and then a yellow one as well. This one I'm going to pop up, and this is getting rid of the backings. They always seem to migrate everywhere, however hard you try. And then I'm putting this last little piece down with a dimensional, and there we go. So now we can get rid of all our pieces. And last but not least, we're going to just add a little bit of bling, and to do that I'm going to just use some of the ink coloured dots, and I'm just scattering a few around the card here and there, just to give a little bit of something. And there you have it. There are the two cards. So I hope you liked them. If you did, I'd be grateful if you could give it a thumbs up so YouTube know, and please don't forget to subscribe to future videos. If you want more information about the project, as I said, it'll be on the blog post on my website, and the links to that, all my social media links, are in the description box below. So thank you again, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye.